Hi everyone, welcome back. So today we are going to see how we perform SPAU in the system. And this is our QAS system, and we have already performed SPAU in the dev. So we are going to be importing the dev transport into QAS. So we will not need to do SPAU here, but I'll just try to show you as much as possible without changing any of the objects. So you'll get a good idea of how SPAU is done. Okay, so once you're in it, here again, like SPDD, you have three tabs. There are nodes with assistant and without assistant. There are also these tabs, but then we do not need to worry about these three. Only need to take care of these three. So first and foremost, always start with the nodes tab. In notes, you will see all these objects and the status. So this one, the one with the green check mark, is the processing completed, and so we don't have to do anything for them. And yellow ones are the incompletely implemented ones. And then the ones with that do not have any color, all gray, they are the obsolete SAP nodes. So what we have to do is for all the obsolete SAP nodes, we have to confirm the obsolete SAP nodes here. So every note that you're going to see, there's going to be an action on the right side. For example, for the yellow ones, the right hand side says re-implement. And then this is the reset obsolete node. So likewise, the nodes is the easiest part. You just select them and then do what the action on the right hand side says. So these are 590 nodes, and we are not going to do these manually in QoS since we are importing the transport. So I'm going to leave the nodes part here. If you want a detailed one, you can please go back to the SPDD video for the nodes one. But it's fairly simple. Just select it and do perform the available action. Now there are two ways to do it actually. You can just select all, or actually you can just go to prepare nodes. Just click on prepare nodes, and what this will do is this will create a background job in SM37 wherein it will take care of all the nodes. Now the downside of creating a SM37 job is that it is extremely slow, and being slow also, you know that when you're implementing nodes, there are sometimes manual actions to be performed. Sometimes there are some errors, like destination SAP OSS is not configured, or error in RFC connection, or it can be anything. So all those errors cannot be immediately identified when you're running an SM37 job. And that is how you keep waiting for the job to finish, but it doesn't finish. So I would advise, having done it in sandbox and dev, that just select each node and then confirm the available actions. It might seem like it's going to take forever, but it's definitely going to take you lesser time than having a SM37 job running in background. Okay, so once you finish all these nodes, a lot of your items in without assistant and with assistant are going to reduce, because the nodes will be taking care of them, like a lot of them. So that is why you should start with the nodes one. Then another thing is, every time you reset it, it's going to ask you for a transport. So now for SPAU, you should have a separate transport. You should have one transport for SPDD, and you should have one transport for SPAU separately. So either whenever you're making a change, it will ask you for transport, so you can input your transport at that time, or you can set a default transport here. So when you are setting a default transport, every time you make any change, it will not ask you for any TR. It will by default get attached to that transport that you have set as default. And then with assistant. Now the main difference between with assistant and without assistant is the version comparison, or like the split screen editor that we can say. Okay, let's see an example. So even here again, there are different statuses. There's one in yellow, one in green, and then there's one in red. So the yellow one says it is tool supported adjustment. The green is the automatic adjustment, and the red one is the modification switched off. So what we have to do, what does all these mean? So in yellow, that means, let's see. In with assistant, you get a compare versions option here. So once you double click on compare version, you can see this is the version that was present before the upgrade on the right hand side, and this is the version that is present currently on the left hand side. So on the left hand side version, we can see that this piece of coding is clearly not there. And on the right, the one way of identifying if it is a standard code previously or it was custom code is to look for this keyword insert. So there are keywords insert and replace and delete that is present in the standard codes whenever you're making a custom modifications. So what you have to do is look for these keywords and make sure that the code between the keywords is present also on the left hand side. For example, see the insert starts here at line number 2 and ends at line number 23. So this is of course the modification log. So it's alright if you do not want to paste this here because that's not going to affect the coding in any way, but this is good for maintaining the logs. So you have to make sure that copy this and paste it on the left hand side. So this custom modification is also present on the newer standard code that has come in. And then after that you can just do this next difference, or you can compare like you would in version comparison. So at this point you can see that this ls record def on the left hand side is not present on the right. But again, now this is not in between any insert, so we should not worry about it. It's not part of the custom code. This is coming from the standard code. So let's not check anything. And anyway, this it's just the s record def which was present on the right has been replaced by some other type. Okay, moving on. Again, there is another insert here which is not present on the left hand side. So make sure that this is present also on the left. So likewise, you have to find out how many modifications are there in the custom code. So this is the third one. If you scroll to the right, you can see that a number is given on the right hand side. So you can see which modification number this is. Is it the second one, the third one? So here you can see that this piece of code has been replaced. So this is the third number. So the keyword insert and the keyword replace. Okay, so this is for the with assistant example with the tool supported adjustment. So now what will you do? There are two options here. Option is to adjust and the other one is to reset. So what is the difference between reset and adjust? So reset is the after the upgrade the code is going to be a newer version of the standard, right? So you have to decide if you want to keep the newer version of the standard as it is or adapt your previous modifications prior to the upgrade. Now, what does that mean again? So let's say you are performing an upgrade tomorrow and today you have made a custom modification in it. You have made some Z changes to the standard, right? It can be anything. It can be implicit enhancement, it can be any custom field that you have added in SPDD or any Z piece of coding that you have added. So that is present in the system today. But tomorrow when the upgrade is coming, upgrade is going to affect the standard code. So with the newer piece of coding, it is just going to remove all the Z changes that you had made yesterday. So what you need to do is you need to keep the standard changes as it is that are going to come tomorrow, but you also have to add your zip changes to the newer standard version, right? So for that, these are the two options. So tomorrow you can decide when after your upgrade is done, if you want to keep the standard changes as it is, that means when you are resetting it, your custom changes will not be applied to the newer version of the standard changes. However, if you want to add your custom changes to the new standard, you're going to do an adjust. So adjust is basically just adapting the custom changes and reset is not adapting the custom changes and keeping the newer standard as it is. So for this example that we saw, we want to adjust it because with the newer standard, there was no modifications that we had done. So we want to adjust it. And when we adjust it, our custom changes will be adapted there. So of course, since like I told you, we are going to import the transport, I cannot adjust it. But adjusting it is, let me go inside and show you how you're going to adjust. I'll just walk you through it. It will be easier for you to do it when you are doing it in your system, or you can just put on a comment and I'm happy to help you whenever you actually do it, the upgrade in your system. So when you go into adjust, what is going to happen is now here the options are going to be different. Um, the options are going to be like you see in a standard program. Any, let's see, any program, for example, right? So here, of course, this is not editable, but in here, if you do this, nothing can be done in QAS. Okay. So in here, whenever you are trying to do any modifications, right? Whenever you are showing, you click on the ring structure there, and then you can see on the top hand side that there is an option of replace, undo, delete modifications. The same kind of page will be opened here once you click on adjust, and then you just have to click on the lines that you want to copy. For example, from line number 2 to 23, just click on copy, and there is a button that's going to be here that says copy to buffer. So you select that, and then that means this portion will be copied there, and then you just come to the right and you click on the number of line number where you want to paste it. Now it's going to be line number 3 in that case, because this insert gets inserted automatically. So you're going to click on line number 3, and then there will be an option of insert from buffer there. So you'll place click on insert on buffer, and then this piece of coding that you had copied, this will automatically be pasted on the left hand side. And now since you pasted on the line number 3, the insert will automatically start from line number 2, and when you save it, this portion, the tr, whichever you have set as default, will automatically be updated on line number 2. So that's how you will copy it. So in stepwise, step number 1 is copy from line number 2 to line number 23, and select copy to buffer, and then place it here, and do an insert from buffer, and it will automatically be saved here. So once you have done this, this is going to be your first piece of coding, like the first insert or the first enhancement. So now you have copied the coding prior to the upgrade into the newest version of the upgrade, which is in an adjust. Now when you will then go to next difference, and in next difference now you have come to number 2. So do the same thing again, copy this portion 55 to 69, or if you want you can also do a 56 to 60. Okay, no, it's not 55 to, where is the insert statement ending? Okay, this is 92. So you will copy from 55 to 92, this entire thing, and then do a copy to buffer on the top, and come on the left hand side, and at the same point, line number 55, on the same point you will do a position the cursor on the point, and then do a insert from buffer. So exactly what is there on the left hand side. So if it's an insert, do an insert from buffer. If it is a replace, then do a replace, and then everything else is already good. So the rest of the piece is the standard code. There may be new standard codes of lines added into this piece, so don't really worry about the new standard coding that has come. Just make sure that the custom one is already pasted into the standard. So once you do that, both uh, the previous version and the current version, it will either be identical or it will be different because of the new standard piece of coding that has been added. So don't worry about that if they are identical or not, but they must be identical in terms of the custom code that's present. So just make sure that the lines of the custom code have been applied on the left hand side as well. So then once you do an adjust, the status of this will change, and it will turn from yellow to a green check mark, saying that the object has been adjusted. And then here you will have some options that reset the processing status, or change the processing status, like that. So that's how you have are taken care of adjust. Now, if you did not want to adapt any custom modifications, or if there were no custom modifications, like nothing Z that was done to the code, then just simply go to reset. So you don't have to worry about reset, but just you have to check, has the custom code been changed. Now again, we'll take another example. So that was the yellow one. Now for the green one, again, there are same options: compare version, reset, and adjust. So if you go inside, again, you can see that this one is a small code, and you can see that only this portion was added prior to the upgrade. You can see that it is a custom change, right? This is a custom username. So this is added prior to the upgrade. So we have to make sure that this part is also present here. So what you will do again is you will go back, click on adjust. You'll click on adjust, and once you click on adjust, a similar kind of screen will open, but it will have other options also, that insert from buffer, replace from buffer, copy from buffer, like so. So just select what you want to select. You can just do uh, a trial where you want to select from 109 to 14 or 110 to 113, but the point is just selecting the whole thing. These insert statements get inserted by the standard automatically, so you don't need to worry about those. And the transport number also gets updated automatically. So just select the piece of code that you want to copy, and then click on copy to buffer. That is going to be an option here. And then just paste it on the line where you want it, and then just select paste from buffer or copy from buffer, and then it is going to be added here. So that will be done. But the difference here between yellow and green is, in yellow you need to do a copy and paste manually, and in green it's an automatic adjustment. So in this example, for the green ones, when you click on adjust, the standard itself will take care of copying the custom code from right to the left hand side. So you don't have to worry about it. The green ones, you just decide if you want to adjust it, and then once you click on adjust, or if you click on reset, the standard is going to take care of it. You don't have to do anything. Only you need to do is, just for the yellow ones, you need to do it manually, and for the red ones, if we see an example of a red one, so red means it's a complete modification assistant has been switched off. So it's a completely, uh, it falls on you to do it. So when the modification assistant is switched off, you can see that here nothing is changed. It's just English to German. So that's fine. You can just keep it English to German. Nothing else is changed here. So for this particular example, you can just simply go to a reset. And anyway, there is no option here to adjust. So it's only a reset. That's all right. And I think if you see this one, this is also just a reset. Okay, this one has an adjust. Let's see. Do a compare version. Okay. So in here, you can see that prior to the upgrade, there was a sort statement added. And here, there is no sort statement added. Although, this is not in between insert statements, but from the description, we can see that this was the previous post upgrade, which was done in 2019. So this is post upgrade code remediation, and it's also the user is SAP. So that means this is also needs to be adapted to the standard code. Even insert comes when it's a custom change, when we have done the custom change, but this is the post upgrade remediation which was done by SAP after the upgrade had completed. So we also, logically, we should also be implementing this in our code. So there is a sort statement here, and that is why we have an options of reset and adjust. So do the same thing, click on adjust, and then go in, add the sort statement, copy to buffer, paste from buffer, and that will take care of it. So that was with difference between reset, difference between adjust, and the with assistant tab. Now, the difference between with and without is how in with we see that a split screen editor is open, then we can clearly see the differences between left and right. So that is not always present in without assistant. That is the only difference. So when we say that is not present in without assistant, that means, for example, for this highlighted one, so this is a manual adjustment, you can see that there is no compare versions here, right? So you'll see how am I going to compare between the previous and the current version. So what you have to do is you can see the object here on the left hand side, and then you'll just do a versions comparison like we normally do any programs, and then there will be different versions here. So just compare the active one or the most current one with the previous one. So now there is nothing here. Let's see if there are any remote versions. I'm comparing it in production. Okay, RFC is not enabled for me, so I can't do a production, and then there is no version here. Anyway, but once you have the versions, just do a compare version with the two adjacent uh, really versions or releases, and you will see the difference between them. So once you find any difference, then again you have to click on adjust, and then in this case you will not get a split screen editor that you can see copying from the left or right, but then you can open an additional session, additional tab, open the same class in the additional tab, and just do a copy paste from there, or you can do a retrieve version, or you can just make the changes manually. But ensure, so when you do that and you save and activate it, a newer version will be created. So then again you can compare between the two versions and see if all the changes have been adapted. So that's the difference between with assistant and without assistant. Now in this, there may be times when you can see a compare versions, but it's not going to be the case all the time. For example, for this implementation, you can see a compare version, but then we couldn't see a compare version for this class. In with assistant, you will always find a compare version, but in without, you won't. So here, if you see this, it's a body implementation, and it's right. So this is the previous version before the upgrade 002. This is 003, which is the after upgrade version. Now you can see that here this says data identical and this is data not identical. So before the upgrade in 2019, that was the time of the previous upgrade, this activation was false, and after upgrade the activation here is true. So this is a difference. So in this case you have to check first with the functionals or check in the project, if we want to keep the activation as true or false. Most likely it's going to be false because it was false before the upgrade. So then you have to go back and then you'll click on adjust and then follow the same steps. Make the activation as false, and that's how you will adjust it. If you don't want to adjust it, just do a reset. When you do a reset, there will be absolutely no changes to anywhere. No line of code will be changed. Everything that has come in through the standard will stay. So that's the reset. Um, for some, there is no option of adjust. That means you have no option but to just do a reset. Okay. So these are the red ones. The green ones are already in processing complete. So we don't have to worry about those. So doing SPAU initially can seem a little confusing, but when I was doing it in Sandbox just this month in January, I read a lot of blogs and I really could not understand the difference between reset and adjust. So that's the most important or factor here to understanding how to do SPAU is the difference between reset and adjust. So adjust is, in simple words, just adapting the customer modifications to the standard code. And reset is just accepting the standard code as it is and not making any changes to it. That's the only difference. Whenever you see any Z object any Z piece of coding, just you simply have to go for an adjust. That's the only thing that we need to remember. So once you are done with assistant, without assistant, and nodes, another important thing is you have to go and release your task, not the transport, just the task. And once you release the task, come in here to modification adjustment and do an assign transport. And then when you do an assign transport, put in the name of the number, your transport number, which you are using for SPAU. So what this assign transport is going to do is once you do your upgrade for the next system, when you're using the sum tool, once you reach the step of SPDD and SPAU, it automatically asks you that, okay, this transport was assigned in the previous system. Do you want to import it? So once you do an import, automatically, of course, you don't need to do all this SPAU and SPDD in the consequent systems, sorry, subsequent systems. That's the point of assign transport. So if you forget to do assign transport, if you fail to make an assign transport, then you will have to perform all these steps again in the next system. That means if your first system is your dev system, and in dev, if you do not do an assign transport, then when you go to QAS, you're going to have to do all these things manually. Now in dev, since we did an assign transport, that is why we are going to import in, and that is why I'm not going to be able to perform all these activities right now, because we are going to import the transport previously. So then all these things will be taken care of by itself. So that's a very important step, is to assign the transport. And even if you forget to do it, it's no biggie. Just like you can let your basis team know, and then you'll just perform all these things again in the QoS system. That's the only thing. Okay, so that was all for with assistant and without. I wish I could have shown you the code changes, how to perform the code changes, but hopefully from the explanation, you'll be able to open it on your system and then open the audio here and then find out the differences and how to do it. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Please put in any comment if you want to see something specific. I'll try to show it, somehow record it. Okay, thank you. Have a lovely day. Bye.